Hi, all you BC WrestlePod nerds out there, and welcome to our very first NXT Losos review of 2025. We are in the
hell of a break.
It was for reals. I mean, leading through the holidays, we had our end of the year shows. We enjoyed the holidays. We were supposed to be back last week, but you know, my schedule would not allow it. I was more pressed than Panini. I was so upset. But hey, you know what? We're back here, and I'm excited to finally be back here. And we are going to be talking a lot of things related to this past episode of NXT, but introductions out the way. First, I am one of your hosts, Mikey, and joining me is one of my favorite peoples on the planet, Mr. Macho Rodriguez himself, Macho the Hitman, as he is going to be, you know, his moniker for tonight.
You know, the Hitman thinks he's a grumpy old man too.
You are one of my favorite grumpy old men. I am so happy you're here. I've missed seeing you in like this, man. I've missed you.
Yeah, I'm trying my best to get on here and stuff. Definitely want to do more this year. Don't know if we can break that like news or something, but definitely trying to pop up on some other shows to help you out when you need help. So hopefully NXT isn't the only time you'll see me this year.
Well, I mean, we could announce it right here too, because thankfully, hopefully his schedules will allow it too. Macho is going to be joining us for the WWE pay-per-view reviews, which is something me and you have been trying to get you onto one of these things forever.
Yeah.
So our pay-per-view reviews are on Mondays for the most part. So I'm excited, you know, time and schedules will tell, but we're going to get him on more of these things because we have a lot to cover here on BC WrestlePod. And if you want to know what we cover, make sure to follow us all over the social medias at BC WrestlePod. You know the drill by now. We have an Instagram, we have a Twitter, we have a TikTok for now. We have Facebook, we have a YouTube, we have a Twitch, we have a Patreon, we have merchandise. You already know the drill. Look at the links below to access any and all of those things. Of course, we are missing the TikTok for now. Like, who knows what's going on with all of this? Like, is it gonna?
As far as we know, they announced today that on Sunday when we wake up, the app will be unusable. TikTok will go completely black. So get that VPN and move to Canada, baby.
You didn't hear from us. Unfortunately, we are missing our third compatriot, Mr. Papa Oso himself, Will. He sends his regards and his condolences for not being here, but he is excited to make his triumphant return to the ring next week. But with all that out of the way, let's just jump straight into it because this is technically the second NXT of 2025, but the first one after a crazy New Year's Evil show that happened last week, where we have lots of championships change hands. We have two new champions in the men's and women's division, and we also have a new Heritage Cup champion, which we're going to talk
we do. Too bad Will's not here for that.
I know. So we're going to have to
Will's big wrestler, if you guys don't know.
Oh my goodness. I love razzing him so much. But yeah, he was so mad because he had so many thoughts too. So we're going to have to get him to tell us them next week. But without further ado, let's just jump straight into it. So this week, NXT for Tuesday, January 14th, things kick off here in, I guess we'll call it the Performance Center. I don't know. So here at the Performance Center, we kick things off because we have our new men's NXT champion come out. So the show kicks off with the ruler himself, Mr. Oba Femi. He comes down to the crowd, is cheering for him. He puts over Trick. He mocks Eddie and kind of does the I'm the new champion speech we're used to before being interrupted by Mr. Tony D'Angelo, which was weird on my part. I'm like, sir, you are the North American champion. What is happening?
Get out of here. What are we doing? Are we pulling another Keith Lee? We gonna have Oba win both titles before he moves on to the main roster? I don't like that.
Nah, we can't have that. And of course, you know, these two go a little bit for tit for tat, tit to tit, if you will, going back and forth on the mic. And then we get interrupted by somebody who we haven't seen in a hot minute. Mr. Ridge Holland comes out and starts the fight with Tony. Oba then is attacked by Eddie Thorpe with a leather strap, which probably tells me I'm pretty sure we're getting a strap match in the future. Probably. We'll see what happens with all of that.
I like it. I think it's good. I had one bone to pick with this entire segment, and it's more of a personal gripe. So I moved to the States when I was 13, and my accent was the thickest Puerto Rican accent you could possibly think of. So I was very frustrated when I heard Obafemi just have that mockingly American accent yesterday, thinking like, bro, you speak more clearly than I do. Like, what is this stuff? But no, honestly, I love this. I love that Obafemi. Obviously, I text you as soon as he won the title. I'm a massive fan of his. I think I've stated that on here before. I have my own projections of how I believe his character should run, but we'll wait till like the three of us are together before we talk about things like that. I love this. I love the fact that Eddie Thorpe is like, he is in the title picture. Like, from his swerve that he gave Ava to, getting knocked out of the match by Oba last week, and then attacking Oba, like telling everybody, like, you're going to have to wait your turn. This is a me and Oba problem. I love that. I think that's great. You've stated on here before too that you're a big fan of Eddie Thorpe as well. So I think this works out really well. As for Ridge and Tony, I feel like that was like a filler. Like, oh yeah, let's just throw these cats in here because the rest of the show is jam packed. Are you muted?
I knew that. Oh my goodness. So yeah, that was a little strange. I mean, I'm down to see Ridge and Tony fight, but I agree with you in the sense that since we're focusing mainly on Oba and Eddie, especially with Oba going to Ava's office later and throwing Stone against the wall, which was hilarious to watch. I was like, this is what we need. This monster champion. This is what I want to see. Poor Stevie in the background just like, no, don't do it, but also keep going. Like, her and Stone have such a funny character relationship on the social medias. It is so fun to watch. But yeah, Oba wants his hands on Eddie, and Ava's going to give it to him because we get a championship match made next week. And then we also have Ridge and Tony having the championship match next week as well. So we get 2 championship matches next week.
Love it. For the top 2 men's championships right away. It's like, boom, let's get it. I love it. I mean, and then clearly this next match it'll be our 3rd, right? We'll have 3 next week now.
So I'm glad they clarified it at the end of the show because NXT is going to be in Atlanta in 2 weeks, and I think they said that's where this match is happening. But before we get into that and bury the lead, we need to talk about how we got here to begin with. And we kick off with our first official match of the evening, which is, funny enough, an NXT Women's North American Championship #1 contender match. So the way we got here is that Stephanie Kerr versus Shotzi is what's happening. Stephanie technically became #1 contender when she won that fatal 4-way at New Year's Evil. And then Shotzi later in the evening with her team of Gigi Dolan and Tatum Paxley. Shotzi pinned the Women's North American Champion in that 3-on-3 match. And she made the case that she should get a championship title match because she pinned the champion. So last week, Ava set up that it would be Stephanie versus Shotzi. Winner will go on to face Fallon Henley for the title. Stephanie, as we already have said on multiple occasions before, girl is so good in the ring. Love her to death. It was nice to see one-on-one. I have missed her unorthodox style of wrestling.
Yeah, I agree. I think Shotzi is one of those people that, unfortunately, wrestling fans don't appreciate enough because they've just maligned with how WWE has changed their style. It's kind of what we're watching with main event Jey Uso, where people are just like, oh, he's not a good worker. And it's like, how do you think he got the main event Jey Uso? The same thing works for Shotzi. I feel like people forgot the heartwarming video of Regal going to her after a wrestling match, giving her contract. Do you think WWE would really go find someone like Shotzi if she wasn't good in the ring? Did she have snafus on the main roster? Sure. But I mean, when there's no clear direction for your character and then you're being thrown all over the place, it's going to harm you. Like, certain things are going to harm you. They're going to mess with your mental. But when you watched her at War Games, she was awesome. She was one of the best. She was the star of the War Games match last year. I feel like Shotzi is one of those people that it's just unfortunate that people just make opinions and they're so strict with sticking on them. But thank God she was able to go in here and work Stephanie Bakor because she really showed everybody hey, Shotzi can hang. She can definitely hang. And I love that. I think this is really, really cool because if this is Stephanie's role, if she's going to be the person, let's throw them out there like a Kurt Angle, like a Bret Hart, you know what I mean? Like a Natalia, where it's let's put her out there so she can showcase these other women in the roster. This is going to benefit Stephanie's going to be the most valuable player on the main roster as well, because I would start putting her out there with people that wrestling fans, let's say, question their wrestling ability. Like I would have her work somebody like a Scarlett, because Scarlett can go and people don't think she can. And it's like, do you guys not watch? Like, what is it?
People to stop sleeping on Scarlett, because I'm like, look, I know like 5 of us watch TNA here, but Scarlett and TNA was so much fun to watch, especially when she was paired up with Big Boy Ula Follow over there, and I'm just like, that was so fun. She is so great, and you know, if you haven't seen these videos, she's wrestling on the house shows, you guys, at these live events too. Like her and
Nikki Cross are killing it. Every time you watch clips of them, it's always like a 45 seconds or like minute and 50-second clip, and it's always good stuff. It's like, yeah, give us some of that on Monday Night Raw.
For reals. Listen, Triple H, like, get on it.
Yep. Sean, give us a call. We'll help you out. I'll help you book the show.
I'm never going to say no. I'm just putting it out there. I want to say, first and foremost, I have to give WWE kudos for this, because they are presenting Stephanie. The presentation of Stephanie since coming to NXT has been phenomenal. We all know she's more internationally known through her accomplishments on the international scene for us wrestling fans who watch a bunch of stuff. But I feel like not a lot of people know about her here in the United States, but WWE has done a really good job of making her feel super important so quickly here in this company. Yeah. And I love it even afterwards. Now, I don't know if you saw this, because I don't know how broadcasting differences work, but picture in picture during commercials, Stephanie was looking for Fallon backstage, going up talking. Yeah. And I was just like, see, even the presentation is there, because Stephanie is big mad, as she should be. She pulled
someone out of the makeup chair.
Yeah, she got screwed out of her number 1 contendership through a fluke. Yeah. And so now I'm excited for when Fallon and Stephanie collide. This is going to be good. It's going to be fantastic. Yep. This match was a lot of fun, and I'm super happy for both women. So we do get into probably a filler. Well, let's be honest. This is technically a squash/filler match that happens next. Doesn't get an official placard, but we have Mr. All Ego Psychotic Ethan Page taking on Mr. Dante Chen. This match was set up through a backstage vignette showing us what happened earlier in the day. Dante was like, hey man, it's not cool what you did to Javon. And so Ethan is going to teach Dante a lesson. This goes about the way that we think it does, which is about a less than 5-minute squash match. Dante tries. I love Dante, but Ethan pulls it out. And so before we get into the post-match stuff, the match was, it was a squash match.
Yeah, unfortunate. I really want to see more of Dante, but hopefully he'll get there. But it doesn't seem, I don't see guys like him moving up, not being utilized in a position like this, which is unfortunate, because I think he definitely has the goods to be like, I feel like I view him now as like a Ty Dillinger, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like before, not this version. That's why I specifically said Ty Dillinger. That's what
I get you. Yeah.
Yeah. I really enjoyed this. I love the fact that like Ethan is, he is just becoming this ruthless, like just brutal person. Maybe it's just because I've been watching a lot of Yellowstone lately. Like I rewatched. He just reminds me of Beth Dutton so much. Like the way he's just like not taking anyone's crap. He doesn't care if you think he's the villain. He doesn't care if you think he's the hero. He's there for one job and one job only, and that is to make it to the main roster. And it's very clear after the interaction last week that his intention is to have a one-on-one with The Rock. I love that.
So post-match, Ethan Page continues to go on the crazy train warpath. He gets Dante Chen, pulls his leg and foot into the steel steps in between, and smashes the tar out of it. But then we have a surprise Javon Evans jumping out of nowhere to come through. Unfortunately, Ethan does knock Javon out. Javon is bleeding. I love this build to the inevitable all ego psychotic Ethan Page versus Mr. Bouncy himself, Javon Evans. I think this is fun. And I love seeing Javon get a proper storyline now.
Yeah.
Outside of like, he flies all over the place. Let's put him in a match.
That's right. He's got a good program here. Ethan's the perfect guy to get them there, to get him to where he needs to go. I love that. This is going to benefit. Ethan's one of those guys that can put someone else over, and it also puts him over. So it's really well done. He's I don't want to be disrespectful to him. I'll just say he's a very much like the. I was going to say he's better than the Miz, but I don't want to be disrespectful to Mike. Mike's a good worker.
Mike Mizanin. I'll be disrespectful for it. Just kidding. Like So I just love seeing the growth from Ethan Page as a person outside of his wrestling and his characterization of his wrestling.
Yeah.
I'm just proud of his growth as an actual person. And he's even admitted it through interviews and things like that. When he was in TNA, when he was part of the North with Josh Alexander's attack team, and his ego kind of got to him and he got let go. He's just like, yeah, I was in over my head. I thought I was the hottest thing on the planet. Turns out I wasn't. And at that time, I thought the world is against me, blah, blah, blah. But now I'm in this place. I have my family. I have my kids. I'm just like, yeah, I was kind of a turd. And so I'm just, I love people who, you know, do some reevaluation and also deserve second chances. And so I'm happy that Ethan is here and he's just doing really well. And I'm enjoying his work and his character here in NXT. I'm so happy he's here. We love a good comeback story.
Absolutely agree. And honestly, like whether it's just personal growth or maybe just recognizing like, all right, I can say whatever I want. I think that I'm on top of the world in TNA. Oh, I think I'm better than all these guys in AEW. It's all good. But he literally took a job with the greatest of all. So like now he's in a position where his boss is considered by 99.9% of the wrestling world to be the greatest guy to ever set foot in a ring. Like anything you can possibly do, like that guy's done already. And he's done it at the highest level. And, you know, like he's done it with the best of the best. Like you're not going to get better from anybody else. You're not going to get better advice from anybody else. Plus he's got Randy Orton over there. He's got Triple H over there. He's got all these people that he could talk to that can kind of just tell him like, hey man, you're here. Plus, you know, now he's in a position where he's with Cody, who can give him the right advice to be like, hey man, this is how you survive in this company. He's got Punk, who he can be like, hey man, this is how you survive. He's the type of guy that just needs structure. He needs a clear boss. He needs a clear story. And the one thing that I've realized about him, I promise will be my last thing I said about him. I just noticed that he's done 4 interviews since he's been with WWE. And you want to know the one thing that he has said in every single interview? NXT has faith in me in a way that nobody else did. And I think that really plays a role for him. So that means that nobody had faith in him in TNA backstage. Nobody had faith in him in AEW. He goes to NXT and immediately they're like, we want to put you here. And it has made a difference in him.
No, I 100% agree. And funny enough, I brought this up too, because for the longest time when AEW, it was what it was, him and Scorpio Sky. And then when he came to be a staple in Ring of Honor, I was like, why are they not pushing him? Like, he's great. He's fantastic. He gets a pay-per-view match, and then we never see from him. And then come to find out his contract's gone. He's going to NXT. I'm like, I hope NXT does something with him, and I'm glad they are. So, Ethan Page, you keep doing what you're doing. I'm excited to see where this next chapter of Javon and Ethan goes. But we were talking about good comeback stories. So now let's touch on a really good feel-good story / segment.
Ooh.
I cried, you know, coupling with the video from social media last week of her getting her side plates in, and then just her talking about her journey and what this moment means to her. I'm just like, the beautiful madness. Julia, I love you so much.
I don't think we have enough that we can possibly say about her. All I know is I'm going to try my best not to disparage another professional wrestler. I'm going to utilize like a wrestler that has currently been successful, a champion on the Raw roster. There was a wrestler before that was told, we need you to do this for us to put our full weight behind you to be successful. And he was very much like, I don't need to do that. I got successful being here this way. So they took all of that and went to Gunther and told him the same thing. We need you to do this so that way we can put our full weight behind you. Gunther took it seriously and it made a massive difference. And now he looks like, I mean, Walter was great, but the presentation of Gunther is so different. They're not the same character. Walter and Gunther are not the same character. Gunther's so much more charismatic. He takes the business so well. He's married as a child. He has something to fight for, something to stay for. When you listen to Julia talk, even when she was talking like last week, when she said to Tokyo Sports, how she takes her English lessons so seriously. She does them twice a week. And then she's doing them at home by herself. She is trying her best to be the best version of herself. And she very clearly, which is something that's never said by any wrestler, she said very clearly to Tokyo Sports, I'm trying to get up to the main roster as quickly as possible. She didn't even mince words. She didn't say, oh, I want to be the best NXT champion I could possibly be. No. She's like, I want to get to the main roster as quickly as possible. She has her sights set on. She's mentioned Rhea a bunch of times. I mean, I think that there's got to be some sort of like that's got to be her dream match. She wants it to happen. But yeah, when I look at her, I look at her journey. I look at the way she was utilized. I love the fact, like we talked about it here on the show, like they clearly have the full weight behind her. They gave her merch before any other signee very quickly. Her merch is selling like hotcakes. Yeah, I could not say anything better about her other than just keep doing what you're doing, because what you're doing is perfect. And I'm sure she's got great mentors like Kairi, Io, Asuka. Like I'm sure those guys are really great mentors to her.
Of course, and then they all have a history when they wrestled in Japan too, so it's always really fun to watch those dynamics come out. I'm so excited to see Julia just take the reins for NXT in 2025 and lead it into the next chapter. I love this segment. This was fun. So after this, we do get our next match. Listen, when I tell you, this match was so ballin'.
Yeah.
So also, shout out to NXT for this week so far by letting the women kind of dominate a good chunk of the show. This match went through 2 whole segments and a commercial break. Like, that's crazy to me.
Yeah, I mean, we've said it before. Lash and Jakara, they're moving quick. I firmly believe they are bringing the women's championships to NXT. They're the next champs. 100%.
I agree. But the crazy thing is maybe my memory's fading me, but I was shocked when we got this announcement. The Meta Girls come in for their entrance, and it's like, this is a number 1 contenders for the championship match. I was like, oh, I don't remember that being announced last week, but let's go. And so it is the Metaphor Girls of Jakara and Lash Legend taking on the unholy union of Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. Again, like I said, this match went through 2 segments and a commercial break. It was given time. I will have to say, outside of Bianca Belair, I think Lash has improved and could be in contention. The way she picks up her opponents with ease and kind of is just crazy right now. I was just like, I need you and Bianca to fight like in the near future. Like Bianca and Lash, I need to see that one-on-one as soon as possible. Because my goodness, her being able to carry and throw Alba and Isla of the ring the way she did was great. And shout out to Jakara for selling that super kick during the commercial picture in picture like a pro. She's like, oh, can't see anything, and I'm down.
Yeah,
like
brilliant. I mean, the 4 of these women really went on it. I mean, obviously, like Haley, like I don't want to say what's her old name? Sorry. The Unholy Union has just been like, they're former tag team champions. They're solid. I mean, you're talking about the longest reigning NXT UK champion right here, who just took over the singles division, then decided she was going to be in the tag division. It was probably just thrown together. Like, let's just throw these 2 together. They're both like from, that side of the world. They have just showcased themselves so well. And the way that these 4 women came out looking after this match, man, I don't think we have anything better to say other than like what we said at the start of this little segment. I think Lash and Jakara are clearly going to win the tag titles. I don't think that's a question that they will be the ones who take the titles from Bianca and Naomi.
Oh, absolutely. And I want to see those tag titles come back over to NXT, especially with if Jakara and Lash take it, because there are so many women factions and women's tag teams, or even, I'm okay with the thrown together ones we have to, like the Metaphor Girls versus Fatal Influence, Zarya and Sol Ruka. Like there's a plethora of women on this roster they can have tag matches with, and I'd be here for it. Lash and Jakara pick up the win here. They are number 1 contenders. So in the near future, we will be getting them versus Naomi and Bianca Belair for those titles. Cannot wait for this match. But we are not done talking about the women because...
Oh, yeah.
Listen.
Yeah.
When I tell you, there is a reason that this woman right here was nominated mine and Will's Women Wrestler 2025, just because of the incredible year she had. But the fact that they just casually, not even like having to overdo it, they just casually be like, hey, look at this. Your TNA Knockouts champion, Masha Slamovich, is in the house. So we get a shot of Masha here, sporting the lovely TNA No Knockouts champion, and she's having her eyes set on our next match, which is Kalani Jordan versus Cora Jade. I'm happy to see Cora I wasn't sure
on her
direction.
birthday.
Exactly. And she picked up the win. So I thought this was a fun match. Kalani Jordan, this whole entire feud between these two is that Kalani is not the girl she used to be. She is more aggressive. She is more in your face about it.
She's also taking a lot of L's. I think this is back
to lose because Cora has also had a lot of L's.
Yes.
And to return. So somebody was going to lose again and somebody was going to walk out the winner. And this time it was Cora Jade. Cora does get the win, of course, through a poke to the eye, but I'm not mad at it. It is what it is.
She's a heel. Deal with it.
Exactly. And you know what? She wins. This match was a lot of fun. I thought both girls did great.
Agreed. I mean, Jordan is just one of those like phenomenal talents. She's a really solid worker. You could tell she definitely like works on herself like all the time. You can almost just tell by watching her that she's a gym rat. There's no way that she just kind of like, oh, okay, I guess we're going to next week. You could tell her she spends a lot of time working on her stuff. And Cora, man, I don't know what it is, but it really feels like she's starting to look like that, AJ Lee style Cora again. She's starting like she's a couple Chuck Taylors away from looking like the old Cora that everybody was like, she's the future of the business. Cause when she first came back, it looked really slow. It looked like she wasn't sure of herself. Like she was like, okay, I need to make sure my objective is to not get hurt. And it felt a lot like Tegan Knox. Like, I don't know if you remember when Tegan first came back from her second ACL injury, she wasn't wrestling like the way she normally did. You could tell she was trying to be too cautious. Now it looks like Cora's trusting, like, hey, I'm in here with a pro. I'm in a good spot. I'm not doing anything crazy, like jumping off anything, doing any flies to the outside. My job is to get through this match technically sound. My inspiration, AJ, she was able to do it. Working this style. She's doing the same thing. And I came away thinking to myself, like, we're a couple weeks away from people being like, yo, we need to see Cora and Julia because that's the match. That's what I want to see. That, like, she looks good right now.
Oh, absolutely. And I will say this too. So again, Cora picks up the win. Loved it. I read too much into things sometimes, but have Cora and Masha eyeing each other up after the match too. Masha eyeing her, but not even getting up like confrontational. She just chilling in her seat, looking at her is like, all right, girl, I see you. And Cora like, all right, let's go. I'm just like, please, TNA and NXT, give me a Cora and Masha match at some point. And I mean, it might be happening sometime in the near future too, because social media, again, if you don't check out the NXT social media, you're only checking out half the story because Masha walks backstage and she has a fun, quick conversation with Shawn Michaels. And Shawn basically says, hey, the keys to the kingdom are in your hands. If you need anything or want anything, you don't be afraid to call. Masha's like, I got you. What I'm talking about, TNA knockouts and the JCW champion too. Like, homegirl Jordan was fantastic when she popped into NXT, and I am so ready for Masha to kind of take that on now. So excited. It's fun to be a wrestling fan in 2025.
Yeah.
Let's just put it at that.
This is the best. And the best part about this is like, I was telling my son this. So when he got out of school yesterday, I was like, hey, bud, you want to watch Raw? Because obviously Raw's on when he's going to bed. He's in school. He's 8 years old. And he's like, yeah, let's watch Raw. And we have like a good solid like 2.5 hours before like his mom gets home. And she works late. And we're watching the show, getting, folding laundry, getting dinner ready. And he's watching it. And I see him just sit down like on the dog bed. And this is a real story. This happened yesterday. I wish I could have taken a picture. I would send it so you could put it on the screen here. He sits on the dog bed, staring like with my dog, staring at the TV. And I'm like, Arthur, I thought I asked you to fold this. And he's like, ignores me completely. I look at the TV and he is just glued to Lyra versus Dakota. He cannot stop watching it. And I was just like, the match is over. And I go, dude, you have no idea how lucky you are to get to grow up in an era where you get to watch the women get a chance to wrestle like this. Because I'm quite positive that they probably always had talented women, but they never got the opportunity to do so. And here is an 8-year-old boy who is just hooked to women's wrestling and he's growing up with it. And even today, he gets out of school. We're watching this show again so I could prepare for tonight, right? We're rewatching this and he's watching all these women and he's just like, this is so cool. I had like even saying it, like I had no idea how many great matches all these women could have. He's 8, Mikey. He's 8 and he's already into it. This generation is just lucky to get these women just killing it right now. They're definitely more interesting than the men in any division.
100% agreed. Like, and you know me, and you know the rest of us here. Like, it is not it's not hyperbole. It is fact when we say that we are so invested in women's wrestling, and we've always have been for a variety of reasons. But like, women's wrestling has gone through such a change over the last 10 years or so. And to be able to see pretty much, I mean, let's be honest, NXT on a weekly basis tends to be like the most women's wrestling show on the planet that we have right now. And I love watching the women of NXT throw down, and just women's wrestling in general is so fantastic. It's a good time to be a wrestling fan, and especially if you are so into women's wrestling, because there's so much choice. And again, this NXT TNA partnership seems to continue, and I'm not going to say no. I'm just going to say that. So I love it.
Yeah, I agree. I love it. It's one of those things. People have said this in the past, like you come for one reason, but you stay for something else. So like, let's say you came to NXT for Masha, right? You came here for her because you're like, oh, she's going to show up and I like her. She's my favorite. I'm a TNA fan. And then you come in and you watch this match and you're like, and it's like, hold up. Is this a women's wrestling show? So you come for something and you stay for something else. And I think that's beautiful because, Mikey, how many shows have we been doing since I came back into the fold here? How many times have we had a conversation that it feels like NXT has turned into a women-centric show?
Oh, pretty much every single time. And I never get tired of it.
Yep.
I love it. Really quickly. Hi, Will Supras.
Hey, what's going on? Man? Yeah, we wish you were here. Oh, man, we wanted to talk about the Heritage Cup. Hoping that you were.
The best story of Lexis King and Charlie Dempsey. Hey, we're getting a rematch for it now because of backstage stuff. So Will gets to talk about his favorite wrestler ever in Charlie Dempsey.
Yeah.
No, but seriously, we miss you, Will. We look forward to you coming back next week because next week is also looking to be fun. But from this match, we go into our final wrestling match of the evening before we end with our final segment, in which we have our NXT Tag Team Championships on the line. We have Fraxium, so Axiom and Nathan Frazier, who is still wearing the mask, taking on the team of OTM. Man, Fraxium is still a fun tag team to watch.
I'm a fan of Nathan Frazier. Like, I think he's good. I don't know, man. A-Kid or he is just special to watch.
Right?
Like I said, I like Nathan Frazier. I think together they are the perfect tag team. They work really well. I said it a couple weeks ago before we went on break. They give me that Shawn Michaels and Steve Austin style. Like, we don't like each other, but we're really good together. Like, they give me that vibe. But yeah, for me, he's the shining star. Like, it's not even close. When I look at him, I'm just so dope.
Absolutely. It is so good.
And he's a good looking man. What the hell's he got a mask on for too? Like, it's just
I still never understood that decision, Shawn Michaels. I don't know why we put a mask over A-Kid. I mean, he is a full-blooded, stud from Spain. Like, come on now, but hey, you know what?
He's the gallego and he could talk like this, and I love it. He could give you that whole thing, man. Have him cut promos in Spanish and English, just like the guy on Monday.
I agree with you. I love Axiom / A-Kid is something special, and he is great, but you know what? Normally, okay, so it's no secret that sometimes I'm a little harsh with OTM, especially because they're still new to the wrestling game. I gotta say, man, I was very impressed with them. I was like, I think this is your best tag team match yet so far. Like, the work is showing, and it definitely helps that you do have incredible dance partners like Axiom and Nathan, who are just a well-oiled machine as a tag team. I thought this was OTM's best match. Of course, Fraxium does retain the championships. I love it, but what I even loved anymore is that because we got a segment earlier in the night, but we had DIY watching from the crow's nest during the match, like Fraxium versus DIY. Let's go.
Yep, let's go. I love it. Like, let's bring it in here. We got the two godfathers of NXT just coming back, making sure that people are taking care of their grounds. You know what I mean? Johnny Wrestling and Tommaso Ciampa. I don't know anybody else. I know a lot of people say Adam Cole is like the greatest NXT talent ever, but for me, it's specifically one of these two guys. And I love that. I love how they're watching, they're paying attention. And it also, because they're so successful on the main roster, makes Fraxium so much more important. So they've been able to beat everyone, right? And now it's gotten the attention of the main roster where it's like, hold up, we got this team down here that's just beating everybody. It doesn't matter who you throw in the ring with them, they're winning. And to me, it's like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, this is step one. Step two is like getting these guys up to the main roster, like show like what they could do together, because I don't see how you break these two up. I don't know if they would be this successful alone. I think they kind of need each other.
And I feel like because of how long, when we talked about this before too, how long we've been playing the will they, won't they miscommunication stuff, I think that since they have yet to pull the trigger, I feel like the ship has sailed, and I want them to go out to main roster as a tag team. And of course, since we're teasing them and DIY at this point, if they end up going to SmackDown, like, again, as a unapologetic TNA stan, Fraxium versus DIY versus the Profits, Motor City Machine Guns and Fraxium would be a very, very interesting and fun bout, in my opinion. I'm here for the crossovers with NXT and the main roster with all three brands, like truly being three brands where NXT stars can pop up on the main roster ever so often. And, our main roster stars coming on over, not down to NXT, because that's a disservice to all the hard work that the talent and Shawn Michaels are putting down here. But speaking of coming over to NXT, we end the night with our final segment, which is a promo from Miss Roxanne Perez herself, who, I'm going to be completely honest, I had lost track, but she reminded us that she held this championship for 240 something days.
Yep.
Like, in the second run for Roxanne with that title. And I love the fact that we're probably getting a program. I will not be surprised if Roxanne pops up to cost Bayley her match against Tiffany on Friday.
I gotta say that to me, Roxanne has done something that Bayley wasn't able to do. And that is that she maintained the prodigy. Like, that is who she is. She's the prodigy. She's the future. She's like the prototype. She maintained that. She just became a heel, right? So when she first comes in, Ring of Honor girl, has this this lineage behind her where people are like, okay, she's got Booker T backing her up, talking her up, and she comes in.
Her like the floor and everything.
She wins.
She is,
and then she drops it in a ladder match, right? And it's like, okay,
I was still confused and all that because she had a baller match against Meiko Satomoto, who I'm sad is retiring from wrestling in April, but that's besides the point. And then she got stripped for the title because she was not medically cleared, and then lost into the ladder match to Indy. That's a whole nother conversation we have because I love you, Shawn Michaels, but there are certain blight spots. I was like, we kind of dropped the ball with Indy a little bit. And that's besides the point.
Yeah, I mean, when you watch her, it's just like, okay, we went from the hugger to the role model, right? But with Roxanne, we went from the prodigy babyface to the prodigy heel, and she just became like, she's just better than anybody ever expected. In the ring, I just don't think people pay attention to how good she is, because let's be honest, she's got the Liv Morgan issue, which is like, people don't want someone who looks like her to be that good. You know what I mean? Like, that's an issue. Like, that's I met someone on TikTok who actually said that part of the problem with Liv Morgan is people get annoyed when you're just that perfect. You know what I mean? Like, that's why people tend to hate them. And it's like, okay, I get it. That's fine. For me, I'm 40, so I can compartmentalize the way I feel like about someone's looks to the way I feel about their actual work. And when I watch her, I'm just like, man, she is so crisp and clean in the ring. And she, like, I say it all the time, like, her movements from one into the other, the way she flows, I feel like everything makes sense. There's no, like, I'm just going to throw this crap in here because I want to pop the crowd. And that's not what she does. She's like, I know how to get to the end of this match and have everybody in this arena invested in what I'm doing. I don't need to give you like the extra big spot. So when I do the big spot, when I do the random, pop rocks or something like on a chair or something like that, then people are like, oh my God, I can't believe that. Like, that's not even her signature. And it's like, to me, she's perfect. Bailey is a pro's pro. She's probably the best technician out of all the women that work in WWE. This is definitely going to be a great like feud or a matchup. And honestly, this reminds me of when Charlotte went to NXT to work Rhea, where it was like, I am on the main roster. I am a legend. I'm a Hall of Famer. I'm a Grand Slam champion. I'm coming down here because I heard through the grapevine you're it, that you're next, that you're coming up to take our spot. Let me see if you're good enough. And it's like, boom. And let me tell you something. Bailey, she sold everyone with the way she took that slap, because the stature of Roxanne should not have been able to knock her to her knee. Man, she whipped around like the power slap show. She whipped around and dropped to her knees, like almost like she got slapped from like an uppercut. It was amazing. Just a beautiful shot.
I am excited to see Bailey and Roxanne go at it, and they end up brawling to end the show, which brings us to the end of our NXT review. Going over everything that we talked about, this was a really good episode of NXT. I'm excited for this new era. Like, we closed out certain chapters and feuds and things like that. And now we are entering the new era for NXT with new faces as champions, new storylines, new feuds, whatever this TNA NXT relationship is going to continue to show over the next like month or two. Like, I'm excited. This was a solid episode. I enjoyed everything about this episode.
Agreed. I don't have a single critique. Actually, I do. I'm glad you didn't even bring it up during the show, but like, who was that for? The Petrovich thing. Like, who? Yeah.
This is the other thing too.
That's the only issue I have, but I don't think that was enough of a black eye to make it to hurt this episode. This was a great episode, and honestly, as a whole, Raw, Smack, Dynamite, Collision, NXT, since the new year, not a single show has been bad. Like, they've all produced really good content, really good matches, really good feuds, really good segments. I don't know if they just like in the new year, that was everybody's New Year's resolution. Let's give the fans everything they want. But I feel like we're getting beautiful professional wrestling from everybody. Oh, TNA too. So like, everybody's just giving us just amazing stuff too. Like, I'm excited. I think this was great. I would give this a perfect 5 out of 5.
I have to agree with your sentiment. And I agree with you 100%. This is only the third week in January of the new year. And I don't know if it's because it is a new year and it is 2025, but like the last 3 weeks, I've just been enjoying so much of everything that has come out. And I'm just like, but you know what? That is in the future right now. NXT is killing it. All the other companies have been killing it. I am super excited, even through the critiques. There hasn't been an egregious thing yet. And I'm just like, you know what? It's good to be a wrestling fan in 2025. Just vibe and let's do this. It's so much fun. Well, that's going to take us to the end here at NXT Los Sos. We will be back next week for another exciting NXT review. Macho, I am so happy that we're finally back at this. I have missed our conversations. I mean, we continue to talk through the text threads, but it's nice to finally be able to talk about NXT on the air once again. And I'm excited.
I agree. I'm excited. I think this is great. I look forward to next week. Will, we missed you. Can't wait for you to come back. Definitely have to open the show with his thoughts on Lexis King.
Yes, I love it so much. And the amazing beard that he has.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. But that's going to be it for us here at NXT Los. Don't forget to follow us on the social medias. Hit that bell and subscribe button on YouTube. Follow us on Twitch. And stick around, because in a few hours, so we still got some times, the CMLL crew will be here to review some Lucha Libre action from, Arena Mexico in Mexico. as well as talk about some Lucha Libre action that went down over the new year in Japan as well. So it's so good. But from myself, Macho, Will, and the rest of the BC Wrestle Pod family here, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, stay iconic, and most importantly than anything, you always deserve to finish your story. We will catch you later, but until...
Thank you so much for tuning in to another Vibe Tribe production. What's gonna happen next time? Well, you're gonna have to tune in to find out. But until then, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, and as always, make sure that you keep the good times rolling. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you next time.